G'day guys, welcome back to the show. This is Full Power Pillock, and today what we're doing is we're going to be trying to fix the TNT mining method for ancient debris. So why is there an issue and what is the problem? So if we mine along here as if you were in a survival world or something along those lines, and you were looking for ancient debris, what you may be using, and what a lot of YouTubers are using at the moment, is basically a TNT line. So what they are is, if we go along here a little bit, you'll eventually see that we can place down TNT. If we give it a 3-block gap in between, then we can basically place another one, and so on and so forth. Now, this is obviously a bit of a pain because it's not easy to always tell where the gaps are meant to be, and you quite often find that people actually will get the gapping wrong, which causes all sorts of other problems. The biggest thing is to try and maintain the correct gap. If you don't, then you're basically just wasting TNT. So that's about what we should be seeing, and if I grab out myself some flint and steel and set this off, you'll see that it goes off one by one by one. So off we go, and sometimes it works perfectly fine, like this, without any sort of issues. However, so we've got ourselves a TNT block line here, and let's set this all off. So as you can see, it goes along without any sort of problems, and all does particularly well, up until a point where this occurs. So what is this? What's causing it, and how do we fix it, most importantly? So let's quickly do a very rough explanation of what's actually occurring. So if we do a bit of netherrack as you get in tunnels, and then we have, say, TNT, we have our 3-block spacing, then another piece of TNT, then what we can do is set that one off and watch the block underneath the TNT. That's the problem. I'll do it quickly in a slow motion replay. So as you can see, I set the TNT off, and then it explodes, and then it destroys the block underneath the next piece of TNT. Now that's a very big problem, because it means if we destroy the block that the TNT is on, it misaligns that TNT from where it needs to explode, and eventually it will mean that what will happen is that the next one won't actually explode. So that's an issue. How do you fix it though? Well, netherrack does only have a blast resistance of, I think it's like 0.4 or something like that. You need something a bit stronger. So if we use cobblestone instead, there is a few other options as far as what you can use. So let's test this out, and it's roughly the right position. You'll see that the cobblestone doesn't explode, because basically there's enough of a blast resistance between the netherrack, the distance that it is to the TNT, and also the resistance that the cobblestone has itself. So placing cobblestone under every single piece of TNT is going to avoid this issue. Now, there is other blocks that you can use. You can also use blackstone. Blackstone's probably too rare a block to actually use though, so probably not the best. But you could also use the ancient debris itself. So if we put this here, and you have basically your 3-block gap and then another piece of TNT. Now the only issue with using the ancient debris here is that you would have to mine it back out. But as you can see, this is a perfect location where it should have issues, but it doesn't. And it doesn't because basically this is indestructible as far as TNT will go. So let's have a look at how this changes the shape of the mine, because as you can see here, this is mined out using that conventional sort of TNT method, but it does have problems. It creates this horrible sort of mess everywhere, and it's not the greatest sort of look. If you wanted to use this tunnel for something else in the future, this is probably not the method that you actually want to use. So the first one that we're going to use is obviously the cobblestone. So cobblestone being very sort of useful, and not to mention that it makes it a little bit easier as far as being able to actually place these in the correct distance. So let's go along here, go along here. Now, the other thing that you have to think about is obviously you have to carry a lot of cobblestone with you. So 1 block of cobblestone for every piece of TNT that you have. So that's a bit of an annoyance, but at the same point, you're not wasting TNT half as much. And TNT, I think we can all agree, is harder to get than cobblestone. So let's go along here, nice and easy without any issues, and I fell down, of course. It wouldn't be a full power Pillock video without me failing at something, and you'll get to see how the tunnel actually looks quite a bit different. And there we go. So as you can see, if I just get rid of some of this lava first of all, because it's kind of in the way of my video, and I don't like it when that happens, you'll be able to see quite easily that we haven't actually gone down as far because we've controlled the explosion. It's still going up to the same sort of height as we have over here, still the same sort of width as what we have on each side, but the floor is a bit more easier to transverse than it is in that horrible god-awful mess. Now, the ancient debris, it's going to further limit and restrict how this all sort of occurs. So if we give this one a shot and see what actually happens here, you'll get to see that it creates a very nice floor actually, which is entirely usable for nether tunnels. Of course, you're able to reuse the ancient debris, so you don't have to have as much on you. And given that you're actually hunting for it, it's probably one of the most interesting and useful things to actually use. So let's go along here a little bit. It shouldn't take too long. It is a lot easier to actually do it this way than to actually try and align TNT blocks into the right spot. It's very hard to see exactly where to put TNT blocks, personally. And I think the game just skipped. Nope. I'm all fine. Okay, so all that you'd have to do is go back along here, and then we can just basically place down TNT on top of all the ancient debris. You're not going to lose it, so it's all good, and you'll get to see in a second that it creates a very nice floor, and it's a very controlled explosion. There's no sort of issues like we get with a lot of the other blocks. And look at this, so perfectly flat floor. You get the occasional dip and things like that, and of course you're going to have the same issues with the basalt and blackstone and all that sort of stuff, but it's a lot nicer. And not only that, since that you're actually out for ancient debris, it's probably a fairly practical thing to actually use. So you'll actually find that the ancient debris, if you use it in this fashion, actually allows for a bit lower of a floor as well. So there's not too much difference between what you're actually doing over here with the traditional sort of method by just placing it on the netherrack, and also using the ancient debris itself as just a guide stone. So I would probably recommend highly using ancient debris to mine ancient debris. Weirdly enough, I think a lot of people find that as a fairly ironic sort of conclusion to a lot of this stuff. And one last final tip to it is that a lot of YouTubers have been mentioning that if you do come across lava, probably just head back the opposite way or something like that. I would say the opposite. If you find lava, then it probably means that there's ancient debris somewhere in the area and you want to blast that area to pieces. I generally find most of the big amounts of ancient debris that I do find are actually around where lava is. So look out for lava. Lava is going to be your best friend and worst enemy for ancient debris. And yeah, give this a shot, see if it works better for you. If you do have any problems, let me know. But as far as I can see, placing the TNT on top of the ancient debris block is going to be your best sort of bet for mining ancient debris. So I hope this helps you guys, and I hope that this has definitely rectified some of the tutorials that you've seen. I think that this really is probably the best way to sort of do it. As far as using it, you can use cobblestone. There's not really any sort of big deal, but it will make it a lot easier as far as being able to set things off and control where the explosions are if you're using something to guide it along. Just remember that the ancient debris itself obviously is going to be in a situation where you need to mine it back out, so it is going to be a little bit taxing eventually on your pickaxe, but hey, it's a small cost for a nice tunnel. Catch you guys later, I'll see you in the next one, and we're out.